The pregnancy test clattered against the bathroom tile as my legs gave out beneath me, not from joy, though the two pink lines should have meant celebration, but from the sound filtering through our paper-thin apartment walls. My husband's voice thick with pleasure saying someone else's name. "Sarah, God, you feel incredible." Time fractured into sharp-edged pieces, the positive test at my feet, Anton's familiar groan of satisfaction, the shower running in our bedroom, the shower I'd been planning to surprise him in, armed with baby news and champagne. My name is Emma. I'm 26 and a former marketing coordinator. This is the story of how I reclaimed everything they tried to steal from me. The Sarah he was moaning about worked in his department. The same Sarah who'd been texting him constantly during our dinner dates, the one he claimed was just having work drama. The woman he'd insisted I was paranoid about when I'd asked why she needed to call him at 11 p.m. on weekends. I pressed my back against the cold bathroom door and counted. 18 months of marriage, 7 months of trying for a baby, 3 months of Anton becoming increasingly distant and cruel, and now this, catching him with another woman on the very day I'd planned to share the most important news of our lives. The sound of their laughter twisted something sharp inside my chest, but I didn't cry. Instead, I carefully picked up that pregnancy test and slipped it into my pocket. Evidence. The first piece of a much larger puzzle I was about to solve. What they didn't know was that I'd stopped being naive weeks ago. The hushed phone calls, the late nights, the way he flinched when I touched him. I'd started documenting everything. Screenshots of his text notifications, photos of receipts I'd found in his pockets, a detailed log of every excuse he'd given me. But seeing them together in our bed, hearing her whisper his name like she owned it, crystallized something cold and precise in my mind. They weren't just betraying me. They were stealing the future I'd sacrificed everything to build. 2 years ago, I'd quit my dream job at a Fortune 500 company because Anton convinced me his career needed to come first. "Just until I make senior manager," he'd promised. "Then you can go back to work." I'd given up my independence, my financial security, my professional network, all for a man who was upstairs destroying our marriage. But Anton had made one crucial mistake. He'd forgotten that before I became his devoted housewife, I'd been an investigator. Marketing research required the same skills as uncovering lies: patience, attention to detail, and the ability to see patterns others missed. Those same skills that had helped me track consumer behavior and market trends now served me well in uncovering his deception. As I listened to them finish, I smiled for the first time in months. They thought they were so clever, sneaking around behind my back. What they didn't realize was that I'd been 3 steps ahead of them for weeks. The pregnancy changed everything, though. This wasn't just about my broken heart anymore. It was about protecting my child from a father who'd already proven he didn't want us. I waited until they thought I'd left for my doctor's appointment, then set my plan in motion. While Anton showered and Sarah gathered her things, I positioned myself in the living room with perfect sightlines to our bedroom. My phone was ready, video recording in high definition. "I can't keep lying to her," Sarah said, checking her reflection in our dresser mirror, the mirror I'd picked out for our first apartment. "You won't have to much longer," Anton replied, pulling on the shirt I'd ironed for him that morning. "Emma's so dependent on me, she'll never leave. Even when she finds out, she'll just accept it. She always does." The casual cruelty in his voice, the way he dismissed me as weak and predictable, ignited something fierce in my chest. He was about to learn exactly how wrong he was. I followed them with my camera as they kissed goodbye at our front door, capturing everything. Sarah's face, Anton's wedding ring still gleaming on his finger, the way they laughed about having to sneak around poor clueless Emma. After Sarah left, I confronted him in our kitchen, my phone already uploading the videos to a secure cloud account. "How was your meeting with the Henderson account?" I asked innocently, knowing he'd told me he was working late on that project. "Exhausting," he lied smoothly, not even meeting my eyes. "These clients are so demanding." "I'm sure Sarah was very helpful with your needs," I said. The color drained from his face. "What did you say?" I set my phone on the counter, the video cued to the most damning moments. I said, "I'm sure Sarah was very helpful. You know, your coworker who doesn't exist in the Henderson account team? The one whose name you've been moaning for the past hour?" Anton's mouth opened and closed like a drowning fish. "Emma, I can explain." "Actually, you can't," I interrupted, my voice steady as steel. "Because while you were busy betraying our marriage, I was busy securing our future." I pulled the pregnancy test from my pocket and placed it next to the phone. "Congratulations, Dad. You're going to have a child. And based on this video evidence of your affair, you're also going to have a very expensive divorce." The look of panic that crossed his face was almost satisfying. Almost. "Emma, please, we can work this out. Sarah means nothing to me. It was just physical." "Stop talking." My voice cut through his babbling like a blade. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to pack a bag and leave. Tonight. You're going to stay away from me and this baby until our lawyers can figure out the custody arrangement. And you're going to pray that I'm feeling generous when we divide our assets." "Our assets?" Anton laughed bitterly. "What assets? You don't have anything. You don't even have a job." I reached into our kitchen drawer and pulled out a manila folder I'd been preparing for weeks. "That's where you're wrong. See, while you were playing house with Sarah, I was reconnecting with some old contacts." During my weeks of investigation, I'd reached out to my former supervisor at Peterson and Associates, who had recently been promoted to regional director. I slid a signed offer letter across the counter. "Senior Vice President of Strategic Investigations, $180,000 a year, plus benefits. I start Monday." Anton's face went ashen as the implications hit him. "You can't do this. We're married. Half of everything is mine." "Including half the debt from your gambling problem?" I asked sweetly. "The one you've been hiding from me. The $47,000 you owe to various online betting sites? I discovered these debts by noticing discrepancies in our joint account statements and tracing the missing funds through our shared credit card records." "Yeah, I found those statements too." I watched him crumble as each revelation landed. The beauty of being a professional investigator, Anton, is that I know how to find things people try to hide. Bank statements, credit reports, employment records. Did you know Sarah's married too? Her husband works for the SEC, very interested in questionable trading violations. "You're bluffing." I pulled up another video on my phone. This one showed Anton and Sarah discussing confidential client information over pillow talk, information that Sarah had clearly used to make profitable stock trades. 3 potential violations captured in 4K video. I said, "I'm sure the financial oversight authorities will be very interested in this evidence, unless, of course, you want to make this divorce as clean and simple as possible." Anton slumped into our kitchen chair, defeat written across every line of his body. "What do you want?" "Full custody of our child. No alimony claims from you. You keep your debts, I keep my future, and you never ever contact us again unless it's through lawyers." He signed the preliminary agreement with shaking hands. As he packed his bags, I called my father for the first time in 2 years. "Dad, it's Emma. I need to come home for a while. I'm having a baby and I'm finally ready to take over the family business." My father's construction company was worth $2.3 million, and he'd been begging me to join as a partner since college. I'd always been too proud, too determined to make it on my own, but pride was a luxury I could no longer afford. 3 months later, I moved back to my hometown and began working at both Peterson and Associates and my father's company. The transition gave me time to prepare for the baby while building my new life. 6 months after that confrontation in our kitchen, I watched from my corner office as Anton's world continued to collapse. Sarah had been terminated from her position and faced regulatory investigation. Her husband had filed for divorce and was pursuing legal action. Anton lost his job when their affair became public, and the gambling debts had forced him into bankruptcy. The divorce was finalized 2 months after Victoria was born, with me receiving full custody and no financial obligations to Anton. He'd call sometimes, drunk and pathetic, begging me to take him back despite the legal prohibition on direct contact. "We could be a family," he'd slur into my voicemail. "I'll change, I swear." But I'd learned something valuable in those months. Respect isn't something you can beg for. It's something you command. And the moment someone shows you they don't respect you, believing their promises to change is just another form of self-betrayal. My daughter was born healthy and beautiful, with my dark hair and stubborn chin. I named her Victoria, Victory, because she represented everything good that had emerged from the wreckage of my marriage. Anton pays court-ordered child support now, though he's never asked to see her. Sarah's legal case concluded with her accepting a settlement and agreeing to cease any contact with financial markets. Sometimes I wonder if Anton realizes how much he lost when he chose 5 minutes of pleasure over 18 years of love. But then I remember the sound of his voice that day, saying Sarah's name in our bed, and I realize some people are incapable of valuing what they have until it's gone. I kept the pregnancy test from that terrible morning. It sits in my office safe now next to my divorce decree and the contracts for 3 major construction projects I've landed this year. Not as a memento of pain, but as a reminder of strength. Because sometimes, the moment your life falls apart is actually the moment it finally begins. Oh, before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, 0 cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.